Okay, let's begin. Tonight we're going to be learning Kashering. Kashering, no, whoever was listening just heard a lot of muffled. Kashering, tonight's learning should be an incredible schos. Refuah Shlema for Yitzchak Isaac ben Leah b'siyat d'shmaya. Schos HaTorah. Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam should bring a complete and easy Refuah Shlema b'siyat d'shmaya. So, we're going to start Kashering tonight. I'm going to try my best to get in the basics in 18 minutes, so 17 minutes, those who like to leave at 9. Afterwards, maybe I'll boil down a little more cases. That's the general plan. So let's get going. We have to know one rule. And with that rule, we'll be able to apply it everywhere. Now, often it's at this point that people say, Rabbi, forget the rules and just tell me what to do. So the reason I'm going to give you the rule is because then maybe, probably not, but maybe then you'll remember what to do. And, the question when you forget doesn't have to be, I know you spoke about this, but it's okay. It's okay. The opposite. If all shirim do is remind us to ask at certain intervals, then it's an absolute win. So there's one rule. The rule is as follows. The rule is, but I'd like to rewind it for one more moment and to explain something called bliyos. For those who know a little bit, this is going to be very stupidly dumb. For those who don't, this will be enlightening, and hopefully for all of us will be a little bit of a reminder to the basics. What it means is something called bliyos. What bliyos means, I'm going to talk a little bit faster, assuming we know something. If we don't, you'll stop me. This is a pot right now. It's no longer a cup. This is a pot. I take my pot, I put in chickens, I put in water. It's called a chicken soup. I put it on the flame. It sits there cooking on the flame. It cooks. Wonderful. I take out my chicken soup. I pour it into something else. I take my pot. I wash it out. The pot to me looks perfectly clean. You lick the pot. It's clean. You boil up water in the pot. It tastes clean. And for all intents and purposes, you think that this pot is a regular pot. But unbeknownst to you, me, and everyone in the world, living in the walls of your pot are little chickens. There are chickens living in the walls of your pot. That is called bliyos. That is called absorbed taste. All of halacha, kashering, iser, v'heter, bas, v'chalav, hilchos, paisach is all this one rule. The rule is absorbed taste, bliyos. When you cook something in a pot, it goes into the pot. How long does it live there? So the world of bas v'chalav is 24 hours. In the world of Pesach, it's not so simple. And therefore, we're not going to discuss that. I did say this disclaimer in a different shiur, and we'll bring it up here. I think we mentioned that there's no bittul on Pesach. I think we mentioned that last week. And Rav, you shared something incredible with me from the OU, which is a real public service announcement. And therefore, I want to share it. It's a slight digression, but it brings out the severity of Isser of Pesach. And the OU writes as possible. Why does milk need Pesach certification? So we all wonder, like, come on, Rabbi, certain things are just ridiculous. Just like, the tablecloths don't need to be kosher Pesach. Maybe we'll get to. So why does the milk? It's a cow. What, the cow? So says the OU, milk contains vitamins, believe it or not, that contain a chametz risk. And therefore, you should purchase milk that's OUP. Well, they don't write that. They're very political. Special passive supervision. They don't care if it's OUP, if it's whatever it is. But it should be kosher lebezach. But now they continue. What if you can't? When is this relevant? You're flying on Yontif. I got this shiloh last year 10 times. Flying on Yontif, you get on the plane, baby needs a bottle. Okay, no big deal. Go ask them for milk. Uh-oh. They don't have kosher Pesach milk in the flight. They just have whatever milk they have. Can you use the milk? So that milk is not simple. And the reason is because there's some of these potential chametz risks. It's bittul. It's a dot. It's not even a thousandth of the milk. There's no bittul on Pesach. And therefore, you should not l'chatzchila drink that milk, and one should plan otherwise. But very good. Continues OU. The eitzah is if you were to buy it before Yom Tif, then it would be batel. Yeah, he gets put him on the chart, please. If you buy it before Yontif, then there is bittul. So again, slight digression, but it just brings out that not everything is created equal. There is. So you should know if you were to call on Yontif and it was for like an infant that couldn't drink anything else, we would probably be makel. But it's not a way to live life.
Why does it make a difference when you buy it? Shouldn't it make a difference when the milk is produced?
It's a $1 million question, which is a $1 million answer that takes longer than a few moments. But you're asking a very, very good question. It is something that we could discuss. But let's continue. So I'm that next week. What I like to do is I want to do kashering today. What I really planned on next week is going to be Bedikas chametz, but it could be we'll just do more general. All the questions, like, the most commonly asked questions, we'll do next week, which will be right before Yontif. Everyone pick up something and listen. Anyways, let's continue. So the rule number one is things get absorbed into the pot. So when you make your pizza in your oven, so now your grates of your oven have what living in them? It's great. How do you get out that absorbed taste? So this is one rule. That's the whole night. Kiboloi kach poltai. The way it goes in, bolua, absorbed. Kiboloi, the way it got absorbed, kach poltai, is the same way it is polate, it comes out. That's the whole rule. What does that mean? There's three ways, to make it simple, three ways that something can go into a pot. Three simple ways. Way number one is with fire. Way number two is with water. And way number three is with a water medium, and I'll explain. With fire. And then we're going to make this practical in 1 minute. Fire is called a grill. You have a grill, there's fire underneath. Sitting in your grill is your pizza. Now you want to make your grill kosher lePesach. So again, obviously, there's always the number one, which we're going to get to, is it has to be clean, right? We're only talking about the absorbed taste. If there's a piece of pizza sitting there, it's not going to work, what I'm talking about. But it's clean, so what do? But there's absorbed taste. You have to get rid of that. So what do? You got to put the same fire on the grate that was there to bake the chametz in. Kiboloi, the way the chametz went in. Kach poltai is the way it comes out. So how to go in with fire? How does it come out with fire? What does that mean? Blowtorch. What does that mean? Make the grill as hot as it was when it went in, the highest temperature. What does that mean? Self-clean oven. Now you understand what's happening. Your oven, how did any chametz go in? It went in with whatever temperature it got to. So now you got to make your oven the highest temperature, and then it's going to get it out, and we're going to get to that practically in a moment. That's way number one. That's called fire. Way number two is with water. That's our pot of soup. That's all your pots. How does anything go into the wall? Via a water medium. A water medium. Now, if you're thinking frying pans, that might be a different story. Very good. Maybe we'll get there. A water medium. How do you get it out? With a water medium. You take your pot and you dump it into a larger pot. Now, your pot, you re-mimic the same way the blia went in. You took it out. Way number three is going to be your counters. How did your counters potentially get anything in them? It fell onto the counter. Or maybe you put a pot down with a little bit of liquid. Let's just use the fell onto. It's an easier example. The noodles. Your noodles, right? You took your pot of noodles and you poured it into your colander and your sink. And the noodle fell straight from the boiling hot water onto the stainless steel sink, onto the counter. So that noodle, that level of heat in that noodle went into the counter, into the sink. How do you get out that level of heat? You do the same thing. You take boiling hot water and you pour it onto that spot. That is the rule in all of kashering. With that, we now know how to kasher our ovens, we now know how to kasher our sinks, we know how to kasher our counters, and we know how to kasher our cutlery. We'll start with the sink, because that's the, that was total not smart. Start with the cutlery, because that's the easiest. Then we'll build up, and we'll probably end with, whatever it is. Let's stop planning and let's just talk. We'll start with the cutlery. So your cutlery, your fork. How did your fork become a chametz stick? Well, it's called you stuck it into noodles. Okay, or you mixed a pot of noodles. So now you got to do the same thing. So you boil up a pot of water. And what do you do now? You take your fork and you stick it in to the water. Well, how's the easier way to do that? It's called to boil a pot of water. You take your fork, you drop it in, and you are done. So now let's make this practical to make this simple. Rule number one, anytime you're kashering anything, your sink, your counter, your oven, your cutlery, we're going to make everything of the same rule. If there are extenuating circumstances, you will ask, because there are times the rules could be broken. But instead of saying it that way, which will confuse us, we're going to keep everything in a rule. Rule number one is everything needs to be clean. Rule number two is that you cannot use the item for 24 hours prior. Then you start kashering. So let's go with our cutlery. You want to kasher your cutlery. Why buy Pesach cutlery? Why use plastic? Very good point. It's really not so difficult. So your cutlery, 24 hours you don't use. Right now it's 8:51. Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, we're kashering. Givaldi. Oh, so that's the caveat. You are right. Really, it means not use it hot. The reason we say don't use is because that's when people make mistakes. It's because don't use with hot. Wait, I turned on my water by accident, put it boiling hot, and now I need a kasher. You run into issues. So, but yeah, in reality, that's one of those like extenuating circumstances. You showed about Rav Yontif and you want to. Why does no one do what? I grew up kashering my cutlery. I agree with you. It's the simplest thing in the world. By the way, I want to tell everyone something about Pesach. There's something incredible about Pesach. If we were to sit here and talk about the Seder, every single person would be like No one does, because everyone only knows their Seder. Pesach is a time that there's not that much mixing in the world.
During COVID, I learned a lot.
Oh, exactly. People learn. So, but yeah, people do, and it's very simple. So you're adding 24 hours, you don't use your calorie. Great, 24 hours later, you take a pot. Which pot? Now, this is always the question. Chometz pot, Pesach pot. So the answer is the lichatchila, highest level. It's called a kashering pot. What's a kashering pot? It's a pot without a gender, we call it. What's a pot without a gender? What? Yeah, exactly. What's a pot without a gender? It's called you kasher the pot. Now, many people do not have such a pot. They can't kasher such a pot. So then you can use any pot you want, even a chometz stick pot that has not been used in 24 hours. Great. Take your pot, you boil it up with water. What does boiled mean? Boiled. What does boiled mean? Boiled. Bubbling, bubbling, bubbling. Now you take your calorie and you just drop them in one at a time. Can you put in 5 at a time? You could. Not recommended, because each piece of calorie is cold. As it goes in, it lowers the temperature. If you were to dump in 20 pieces, it's going to stop bubbling. Then you have to wait for it to rebubble. Problem number 1. Problem number 2 is you drop in 2 things together, they could be lying on each other. And actually it happens. They mamish stick, and the water has to get in between. So you're right. You then shake it a little bit. It all works. Easiest way is take it, you drop it in, you wait to count to 2, it bubbles. The next one, each one, it really takes no amount of time. All your calorie is sitting in your big pot. It's bubbling. Personally, I like to give a little bit of a shake, but that's just a personal thing, just because, I want to make sure everything gets everywhere else. And now you're done. They're kashered. Now you just got to get them out. So, again, just for safety reasons, turn off the flame, let it cool down.
They'll just save everybody money. There's no collections needed anymore.
For which part?
To buy cutlery and plastic.
Yeah, you don't have to buy cutlery. You definitely buy cutlery.
No more collections.
Dishes, maybe. But so what do you do now?
The cutlery has like a fold in it, like it goes from one handle goes into the blade or something like that.
Has to be clean. If you can't get it clean, it's a different story. Again, has to be clean. So you're right. Certain knives, for example, sometimes knives, you'll have like a wooden handle and it goes in, it could be difficult. But any classical stainless steel, we're not talking about anything fancy, anything expensive, all you clean it, you kasher it. Then you pour it into your sink, and the minhag is now to run cold water over it. That's the minhag. And now you're done. You take it, you dry, you put it away, kosher lePesach. That is your cutlery. What else goes into this category? Your becher. Your becher, you could do the same thing. Your pots. Again, if you have small pots, you can do the same thing. Very simple. That's called hagala. We just learned how to do hagala. Very, very simple.
Same water to kasher your sink?
You could. I mean, it's going to be hard because you got to get the guys out and whatever. Good. Let's go next. Next, after we do our cutlery, let's go to our counters. Let's go to our sinks. This gets a little bit more difficult, and we're going to, let's go to our ovens first. I'm going to do ovens in 2 parts. Let's go to our ovens. First, we can do self-cleaning ovens. Self-cleaning ovens are the simplest thing in the world. It's called put it on self-clean and you're finished. Do not have to do anything else. Really, in reality, you don't even need to clean the oven. Why not? Self-clean gets up to, I don't want to say a number because every oven is different, and it burns up every single thing in the oven. So in reality, self-clean and you're good to go. In reality, you might not even have to wait 24 hours. L'maisa, we do. It's a chumrah, and you should. You wait 24 hours. What else do you put in the self-clean oven? Now, this is a good one because people forget this. Take your grates from the top of your oven, put them inside the caps. The caps. Everyone forgets the caps. This is the easiest way. I'll get to in a moment for people who are scared. It doesn't look like it's an age bracket of people scared, but we'll get there in a moment. Yeah. The coloring and the thing. It's age bracket, and it depends on how fancy your items are. I think most of us were pretty okay. But either way, not judging anyone. You take the items, you put it all in the self-clean oven. Anything in that self-clean oven is kasher lePesach. You run self-clean 1 time. You don't run it 3 times. Don't be crazy. Again, public health disclaimer. Be careful. Don't do crazy things. That's all I'm going to say. There's been horrible stories, and but does self-clean? No, self-clean should not blow up your house. If your oven is broken, then don't use self-clean. Okay, great. And that's it. Your oven is finished. Now, your stovetop still needs one more thing. The grates are kosher lePesach. The caps are kosher lePesach. There's one more area. The area in between the burners. That has to be covered. Again, I'm talking about a gas stovetop right now. So we're going to start with simple things. That area you have to cover with foil, and that's it. Cover it with foil. That is your oven. Is now kosher lePesach. If someone does not have a self-clean oven, what can he do? World War. Many people will not kasher without self-cleaning, and therefore they will not use that oven for Pesach. In Eretz Yisrael, Davka for Pesach. Different levels in the machlekes, but Davka for Pesach more are on this team. Oh, you could, but you have to get a blowtorch then. Yeah, no, it's true. If you get a blowtorch, then you can do anything. Really. Yeah, but not everyone wants to. Now, but I'll disclaimer on blowtorch. If you don't know what you're doing, please don't blowtorch down your house. Really, it's not cool. hmm There was a horrible story here in Muncie. There was no foul play that we all know, but at the end of the day is be careful. Be careful. And actually, halachically be careful in case your life is not enough for your reason. Halachically, you have to be careful. Why have to be careful halachically? No, not because of the that's also true. Because halachically, if you're ever concerned that your kashering process is going to break the item, if you're like, oh, yeah, I think I can take a blowtorch to this, and your wife's like, it's going to break. Nah, you're not allowed to kasher lahalacha now. Why not? There's a gzeira derabbanan called dilma paki. It might break. Anything that might break, you're not allowed to kasher. Now, with who? No, it's not saying with tefillah. Tefillah would work, but with kashering particularly. But now, it doesn't mean nerves. It doesn't mean if you're putting your stainless steel cutlery in the boiling hot water and the wife's like, it's going to break. No, it won't. A million people did it. So, but that is the rule of Domabaki. So again, that's your ovens, that's your cutlery. If you don't have a self-clean oven, 1 second, I'm sorry, middle of a sentence. Many are machmer not to kasher for Pesach. Lemaisa, there's a makim to be makel if one needs. He's allowed to burn out the oven. You put it on the highest temperature, which usually is broil, for about an hour and a half. Now it is kosher Pesach. The best now is l'chumra to cover your grates. To cover your grates, or put your grates in someone else's self-clean oven, which is a very simple eitzah. You have to have someone that's willing either to run their self-clean for you, and it depends what people like to do, or cover the grates. How do you cover the grates? With foil. Make holes. Don't be that genius and just put foil around, because now the airflow can't go and your oven will blow up, God forbid. There's a reason why grates go like this, right? There's holes in between the grates. You got to make those holes if you're going to cover it with foil. So again, if you're self-cleaning, you don't have to do anything else. If you're not self-cleaning and you're just burning out your oven, now you're going to have to cover the grates l'chatzchila. Next, that's your oven. Now we get to your counters. Counters are the most difficult. Counters depend on what your counter is made of. This is a proper world war. If your counters are granite or marble, then you're fine. Granite or marble, you for sure can kasher l'chol. If your counters are not granite or marble, your counters are things called silo stone, things called Caesar stone, which are all quartz, very good. All these stones, and I actually have a list over here that I'll read to start. All of these type of stones, this is from the OK, all these type of stones are a big machlekes. And let me just explain to you why. It's basically what it is. It's ground up stone with filler in it. And that's the kasha, because the filler is either glass or usually plastic, believe it or not. Piece of plastic inside, and that's a big question. Lamash, I'll just read you. This is the OK says quartz, yes, can be kashered. Corian, it depends. Marble, yeah. Granite, yeah. Formica, no. Lava, don't know what that is. Depends if it's glazed, resin. It gets complicated. Lemaiser, what? OK says quartz, yes, according to most opinions. Lemaiser Belsky was makel. I'm reading the OK. I'm just reading you the OK. OK kosher says quartz can be kosher according to most opinions. Lemaisa Rybelski was more makel. Rybelski held that the only reason you can't do it is because of the plastic in it, and we're machmer, also Ashkenazim are machmer, we don't kasher plastic for Pesach. But Rybelski said that the roiv, and I'll just read this because this is a very highly contested point. He's actually writing about quartz. Rybelski said even those who are strict not to kasher plastic are allowed to kasher composite countertops because the overwhelming majority is stone. Now, I know most people don't go with this mahalach. I honestly, I don't really know why. I don't know whether this is the reason why in the last 20 years Rabbanim found this is where to be machmir. I don't know why, but that's what they do. Now, as we're about to say out of kasher, I know we're running late on time. If anyone needs sleep, never feel bad. I was about to explain the kashering process. Not so simple. So, Rebelsky, based on really a Mishnah Brura, you should always cover your counters. That's where it came from. Because Mishnah Brura writes, even if you kasher, cover your counters. Rabbi, so why am I wasting my time kashering? That's true. Just cover them. But I don't want to cover. So now, what I'm going to tell you before I tell you the kashering process is a simple eitzah. Is don't put boiling hot food in your counters directly. What does that mean? It's called a trivet. Some people call it's called a hot plate. Other people call it. Don't put the pot directly on the counter, which I don't think most people do anyways. And B, which people do, definitely when people aren't watching, when boiling hot food falls on the counter, don't eat it. Don't eat it. That's a chumrah that everyone should do. Even though we're about to tell you how to kasher it, and even if it's real granite and real marble, Pesach. Real granite during the year, you push lick the counters. No, it depends if they're kosher. But real Granted, in real marble, the real chumrah that one should be makbid on, and is not. Now, the reason why we don't really recommend this is because very good you're makbid, and you tell your wife, what about everyone else? Okay, I don't know if it's so crazy. The people that are in the kitchen just know you don't eat off the counter, and it sounds like silly, but most people don't, anyways. Many people, anyways. Like, Rabbi, you tell me to eat off the counter. That's ridiculous. You take it. No. Oh, so now with that caveat, so now we're going to tell you how to kasher it. I think kasher it. You don't want to cover it. Okay, it's a chumrah to cover it. It depends what you're holding. It's a chumrah to cover it. I'm sorry, let me mention one more chumrah. Your oven door, the glass part of your oven door, l'chumrah should be covered. L'chumrah. Now, how do you do that? How do you do that? The first time I did this, I thought my whole oven was going to blow up. So my wife stand and watch. I'm not sure that's the right thing to do. If it's going to blow up, don't stand and watch. But either way, is you just take a big piece of foil over the glass and you put it over the door. You like rest it over and you open and close. Now, be careful. I like that face. Oh, very good. Depends on where your vents are. My oven, the vents, whatever. It depends where your vents are. Do never cover vents. That's like clow in life. I know it sounds stupid. Never cover vents. But anyways, yeah, the chumrah is you should cover the glass door, and that's that. So now let's go to your counters. How do you cash your counters? So you take that pot of boiling hot water, and you take it and you pour it. But now, let me explain to you the problem. If you do what most people do, which is just pour the water. So I'm taking water and I pour it and it hits here. And then the water flows to here. This area is not kashered. Let me make this more visual for anyone who didn't see. This is my counter. When I pour water over here, I would actually do it, but I don't want to get drenched. It's going to touch over here. Then the water is going to run down to here. Really, only this area is kashered because that's the area that the water hit. The splash is not. So really what you need to do is you have to slowly, methodically pour down and up each and every area. Now you realize that's extremely difficult. And that's the reason why we don't highly recommend it. There's something called a steamer. You cannot do this yourself. Why not? They sell all these handheld steamers. Handheld steamers don't get hot. I know that sounds ridiculous. They don't really get hot. There's something called industrial steamers. They get crazy hot, but they're also crazy expensive. They're like $1,200. And you have no clue what you're doing with it. And therefore you probably will burn something. And therefore it's not so smart. This is the one area, the people that kasher, they come to your house, they charge you. No, that's something else. I'll tell you what they're doing in a moment. The people that come down, they kasher, they charge an arm and a leg, and they happen to do halacha. It is a nice chumrah. I'm not saying one needs to do it, and definitely not. What they do is to use an iron, you have to know what you're doing. I've never seen anyone do the iron successfully. Could be someone knows how to do it. I've heard people do it also. Oh, so the brick, what they do is you take a brick, the brick is boiling hot with the steamer, and then you steam and you keep the brick on the counter so the brick is boiling hot and the steam is boiling hot and the brick is ensuring that the water is boiling hot, which can ensure that your counter is boiling hot, and your wife is screaming that you're about to ruin your brand new granite that you just spent $10,000 on, and please get the brick off her counter. And therefore, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. But that is the reason why those kashering guys are better. But if you want to do yourself, and Rebelsky has a great line. He says, Rebelsky writes, it's not so great. He says, even with everything, I recommend to cover them, not to kasher them. It's difficult to do. In addition, you need a lot of water to hit each area of the counter. The kitchen floor will probably be flooded. So good, litmus test, if you kashered semi-decently, is if your kitchen floor is flooded. If you use many, many towels and also have to realize each pot of water you have to reboil. It's a ganze asek, but that's how you do it. Yeah. Many people do when they move into their houses. That is the ganze asek. That's how you kasher your counters. Your sinks, and with this we conclude. I'll tell you what they have over there, that thing. But what you do with your sinks is the same thing. You take the water, you pour it over. You start from the center and you move concentric circles outward. Big word. Yes. I was waiting the whole night for that one. Circles going outwards. Why? Because your sink is pitched in. So if you start from the outside, then the water runs inward. So then you're doing absolutely nothing. Because then you pour it around the outer edge, and then the next time you pour it, you're not pouring on the sink, you're pouring on the water on the sink, and therefore you're doing nothing. So you start from the center and you do circles going outwards, you pour it over the handles, you pour it over the top faucet piece. Best is you take that, if it comes out, you stick it into the pot of boiling hot water, or you sort of like throw the water up, water gets everywhere. Yes.
These faucet heads that you got very often are plastic.
Yes. Good. Oh, good. No. So you're asking a very good question. That's a very good question. Similar question is into the urn spout. The answer is even though it is plastic, lemaisa, most are makel because you're not properly cooking or ever actually touching food to Yeah, to throw something on it, to put water on it, and that's how you kasher your counters, your sinks. Now let me just end with there's a few checklist items that I know people are going to ask. Um, Dishwash towels and tablecloths. Just wash it on high, and that's called quote unquote kashered, and you don't have to worry about it. Table you're going to eat on. Do you need to cover it? Well, when you eat on it, you need to cover it. Doesn't need to stay covered. Well, that's like a practical item. Many people, wrap it in one covering and put something on top of it. It's more practical than anything else, and it's recommended. It's recommended because if not, before you know it, you didn't think, and you put something down, and then you're busy calling, do I have to throw out the item? And we don't want to do that. So the lechatchila is surfaces that we're eating on that we didn't kasher. If you could kasher your table, depends what it's made of. Usually tables aren't of the sort. Then you could. If not, you could do that. When it comes to okay, well, we're gonna stop there. There's a lot of kid questions, which I think next week I'm gonna try to put together all the all the questions we're all gonna ask, and that's what we'll do next Tuesday night, which will be right for Yontav, and maybe with that we'll do a little b'dikas chametz, maybe not. That is kashering. Let me just see if there's anything else I wanted to mention. We did the oven, we did the tops. I'll just I said this last week. The glass tops are a mess. You cannot kasher the glass stove tops. You just can't kasher them. I feel bad. Anyone go to Florida? This is a public service announcement. They're glass stove tops. They all tell you your kitchen is kasher and you can cook in it. I have no clue who they're being semich on. Our place do not hold you could kasher glass. So what you do is one of two things. Either you put like a metal disc under your pot, piece of foil. It works. There's just a problem is that you end up scratching the stovetop, and then they get very upset at you, and there have been horrible stories. They want you to pay $10,000 for a new oven. The oven was $150. Good kasha. But they want you to pay for the oven because you broke it, you scratched it, so don't do it. They make an item. Last week, someone said the item doesn't work well. I had not heard people had issues called the stovetop mat. It's a piece of, it's like a mat, but it actually conducts heat. It gets up 1,200 degrees. It sells it's $50. Sell it online, and you just put it over top of the whole glass top, and you cook on top of it. You could throw it in the dishwasher and clean it. And supposedly it works. He told me it doesn't last so long. Okay, Yontiv's expensive. I don't know if that $50 is where it's going to make it or break it. And okay, B'siyata de Shmat.